Hello, America. I'm Erick Erickson. Thanks for tuning in to the 4 Things to Know this afternoon. As always, we're cutting through the noise, just getting to the bottom line of the headlines. Let's dive in. First up is the remarkable scene in Congress as the House abruptly left Washington for its August recess, a day earlier and amid chaos over the Jeffrey Epstein files. This wasn't just a routine escape before vacation. The debate over efforts to force the full release of Epstein's files unraveled regular House business to the point leadership decided the best move was just to shut it all down, leave town, and not escalate tensions. What does it matter? Well, the uproar reached a fever pitch when Democrats pressed for a series of amendment votes to push the Justice Department to open all its Epstein documents, and they were joined by a number of Republicans. The resulting gridlock put a halt to even routine action. House leaders canceled scheduled debates on immigration and environmental bills. The Rules Committee didn't bother sending major legislation to the floor. Majority Whip Tom Emmer made the change official, shifting up the schedule so members could get out before tensions rose any further. Speaker Johnson initially tried to appear unruffled, insisting the House still had important stuff going on with appropriations and committee work, but, well, by this morning it appeared leadership knew they'd lost the plot. In a press conference, the Speaker Johnson, fired back at Democrats, saying Republicans were done being lectured about transparency and wouldn't play along with nonsense. Beneath the public bravado, it's clear there's mounting frustrations within Republican ranks themselves over how to handle the Epstein document issue that they themselves have made a mountain of during the Biden era. With the votes last counted before September in the House of Representatives and nothing else happening after Wednesday afternoon, Washington leaves a big pile of unresolved questions in a rare moment where a scandal's fallout managed to entirely paralyze the House of Representatives. For anyone holding out hope the Epstein saga might receive some honest-to-goodness sunlight in Washington, today proved just how far both parties may be from any consensus on transparency. They're all playing with fire on this, if you ask me. Second, it's another big day in the world of political lawfare. Alina Habba, remember her? She's the lawyer and ally of President Trump. She's out as acting U.S. attorney in New Jersey. Her 120-day tenure as acting U.S. attorney have come to an end, or will on Friday. There's some confusion because the president announced her on Twitter and then didn't swear her in 4 days later. So when does her term of 120 days actually end? We're not sure. But by Friday, at least, she's out. Under federal law, if an acting U.S. attorney hasn't gotten Senate confirmation for a related post and serves 120 days, the person's tenure in office comes to an end. And the local federal district judges can name a new person into that role if the president doesn't replace with someone else. In this case, President Trump has not named a successor in office, so the federal judges seize the opportunity to do it, and they're naming Desiree Lee Grace. Now, Habba herself named Grace as the first assistant U.S. attorney. Grace is an experienced prosecutor, well liked by the police community in New Jersey. Habba's nomination for U.S. attorney has moved real slow through the Senate with growing opposition from law enforcement members and even some Republicans. At this point, her confirmation doesn't appear likely, and the president has the option to nominate someone else for the role. Senate Republicans don't seem to have the votes to get her through. Third, let's take a look at the auto industry, what's really happening at General Motors and economic bellwether. GM reported Tuesday the new tariffs on imported vehicles and auto parts have cost the company $1.1 billion, significantly impacting its earnings. The automaker said its net income dropped by 35% of the second quarter, largely due to automotive tariffs. GM, the largest U.S. car manufacturer by sales, has already revised its 2025 profit forecast downward earlier this year. Now the company warns the financial toil from tariffs is expected to intensify in the third quarter, though it's still holding to its full-year profit guidance. Following the announcement, GM shares fell sharply, declining nearly 7% to $49.59 by midday on Wall Street. According to CFRA analyst Gary Nelson, investors have been anticipating an increase in the company's profit outlook, which didn't materialize. Despite challenges in the core North American operations, GM saw stronger than expected results internationally, particularly in China, interestingly enough. Currency fluctuations also helped offer some domestic weakness, Bernstein analyst Daniel Ruska said. So far, GM has mostly avoided passing tariff-related costs on to consumers, opting instead to absorb the hit while shifting some production to U.S. facilities. The company is also hoping trade agreements with Mexico, Canada, and South Korea might ease future tariff burdens. Still, GM CEO Mary Barra has not ruled out raising vehicle prices, emphasizing the company's commitment to remaining competitive in a difficult environment. Tariffs really are starting to have an effect. Finally, President Trump announced Tuesday the U.S. has finalized a trade agreement with the Philippines that'll impose a 19% tariff on goods imported from the Southeast Asian nation. As part of the deal, the Philippines will not place any tariffs on American products. The president praised the move, calling it an example of the country going open market with the United States. In addition, we will work with the military, Trump added in a post on Truth Social. The announcement came shortly after Philippine President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos departed the White House. Notably, the Philippine government has not confirmed the deal. However, President Marcos noted the United States is helping the Philippines deal with China, saying the U.S. is, quote, assisting the Philippines in what we call our self-reliance defense program, which is to allow us to be self-reliant and to be able to stand on our own 2 feet, whatever the circumstances that occur in the future. Those are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon before you get home. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and to the YouTube channel at EW Erickson on YouTube. It's going to help us grow. I'm Erick Erickson. Till tomorrow, stay informed, stay engaged, and please keep the faith. And thank you for the kind wishes and prayers for my wife. Her scans did turn out great today.